Female CEO invites single dad home for dinner. Grandma says, "You're the man she chose." The invitation arrived on an ordinary afternoon, tucked into a simple envelope that looked too modest for the woman who had sent it. When single father Torrin Hale opened it, his hands trembled. The CEO of the company where he worked had invited him to dinner at her family home. He assumed it had to be about work, perhaps a new project or an important discussion. But as he stood on the front porch the next day, clutching a homemade apple loaf instead of an expensive gift, he had no idea that one sentence spoken by an elderly grandmother would change the direction of his life forever. Torrin had spent the last 5 years raising his young daughter, Mira, alone after losing his wife to a sudden illness. Every morning began before sunrise. He prepared breakfast, packed school lunches, walked Mira to school, and then hurried to work at the rapidly growing technology company led by CEO Vesper Rowan. Although Vesper was known throughout the business world for her intelligence and determination, very few people knew how deeply she admired quiet acts of integrity. She often noticed Torrin staying late to help struggling co-workers, never asking for recognition and never expecting rewards. One rainy afternoon, a power outage shut down the office just as an important client presentation was about to begin. While others panicked, Torrin calmly gathered everyone into a conference room lit only by daylight. Using nothing more than printed notes and a whiteboard, he helped the team reorganize the presentation. The client was impressed not by flashy technology but by the team's confidence and honesty. Afterward, Vesper quietly thanked Torrin, but he simply smiled and said everyone had contributed. His humility stayed with her long after the meeting ended. Weeks later, Vesper surprised him with the dinner invitation. Torrin nearly declined. He worried he wouldn't fit into the elegant world of executives and wealthy families. His daughter encouraged him with a bright smile, reminding him that kindness mattered more than expensive clothes. Borrowing a neatly pressed jacket from a neighbor, Torrin arrived at the Rowan estate feeling completely out of place. Instead of a grand formal dinner, he found a warm home filled with laughter, homemade food, and family photographs. The scent of fresh bread drifted through the kitchen. Vesper greeted him with genuine warmth rather than corporate formality. She introduced him to her grandmother, Alira, whose silver hair framed kind eyes that seemed able to see straight into a person's heart. Throughout the meal, the conversation never centered on business. They spoke about childhood dreams, favorite books, community projects, and the joys and challenges of raising children. Torrin shared stories about Myra's curiosity and her habit of collecting colorful stones from every place they visited. Vesper laughed more freely than she ever did at the office, revealing a side of herself hidden behind boardroom meetings and investor presentations. As dessert was served, Alira quietly watched the two of them speaking with natural ease. Suddenly, she smiled, reached across the table, and looked directly at Torrin. "You're the man she chose." The room fell completely silent. Torrin almost dropped his fork. He glanced nervously toward Vesper, convinced there had been some misunderstanding. Vesper's cheeks turned bright red as she gently lowered her eyes. For a long moment, no one spoke. Alira chuckled softly before explaining that her granddaughter had spent months talking about one employee unlike any she had ever met. She admired his honesty, patience, and devotion to his daughter. While countless people tried to impress her with wealth, ambition, or influence, Torrin had unknowingly impressed her simply by being kind when no one was watching. Embarrassed, Torrin admitted he had never imagined someone like Vesper could see anything special in him. He believed successful people searched for partners who matched their achievements and social status. Vesper quietly shook her head. She confessed that success had surrounded her with many people seeking favors, yet very few who genuinely cared about others. Watching Torrin treat every coworker with respect had reminded her that true character could never be measured by titles or income. Although the evening ended peacefully, rumors spread through the office after someone noticed Torrin leaving the Rowan estate. Whispers filled hallways. Some accused him of seeking promotions through personal connections. Others assumed the CEO was showing favoritism. Torren considered resigning rather than allowing his reputation to damage the company. When Vesper learned about the gossip, she called an all-staff meeting. Instead of defending herself with authority, she spoke openly about integrity. She explained that leadership meant recognizing good people regardless of their background. Promotions, she reminded everyone, would always be earned through performance, transparency, and teamwork. She praised Torren not as someone close to her personally but as an example of the values the company hoped every employee would embody. Her words changed the atmosphere. Many co-workers realized they had judged someone without knowing the truth. Several apologized to Torren personally. Rather than holding resentment, he accepted every apology with grace, believing people deserved opportunities to grow just as much as they deserved forgiveness. Months passed, and friendship slowly blossomed into love. Vesper built a genuine relationship with Mira, never trying to replace her mother but becoming another caring presence in her life. They spent weekends volunteering at local food drives, planting community gardens, and organizing scholarship programs for students whose families struggled financially. Their shared commitment to serving others strengthened the bond between them far more than luxury ever could. One sunny afternoon, Torren returned to the Rowan home carrying another homemade apple loaf. Elira welcomed him with the same knowing smile she had worn months earlier. This time, however, there was no surprise waiting. Instead, Torren quietly thanked her for believing in something he had been too afraid to imagine. Elira gently reminded him that love often begins long before people recognize it. Sometimes it grows from respect, sometimes from kindness, and sometimes from seeing another person's heart clearly when everyone else notices only appearances. She said the greatest wealth anyone could possess was the courage to love honestly and the humility to receive love without fear. Special request: if this story touched your heart, comment below with, "Kindness finds a home." If this story inspired you or reminded you of the power of kindness, please like, share, and subscribe to Heartwarming Tales so more people can discover stories that bring hope and encouragement. In time, Torren, Mira, and Vesper built not only a family but also a community centered on compassion, generosity, and hope. Their story reminded everyone around them that life's greatest blessings rarely arrive through status or success alone. They grow from quiet moments of integrity, from choosing kindness when no reward is expected, and from believing in people before they believe in themselves. The greatest doors often open not because of wealth or influence, but because someone recognizes the goodness hidden within an ordinary heart. And when love is built on respect, honesty, and compassion, it becomes a home where every person is truly chosen.